comics do.
Welcome to yet another edition, episode, thing of the Comics Do, number 12. And joining me, just him this week, because that's all I need, Mr. JC Argensinger.
What up?
He's wearing his Wolverine hoodie, which I'm really liking right now.
It's a onesie, by the way. It's a Wolverine onesie.
It's a onesie.
This is classic, classic like '90s Wolverine, by the way.
Oh yeah, the yellow and blue. Oh yes, it's still kind of the modern look.
Well, no, the modern look is like the movie leather jacket look.
Yeah, but he busts out the yellow costume quite a bit.
I guess
it's still in the rotation.
All right,
and it's complete with the hairy chest sticking out. So you really are Wolverine today. You know, do what I do.
I do what I
do. You do what you do. You're the best at what you do, I think, is what the line is, right?
If the shoe fits.
Yeah. Well, I'm Aaron, if I didn't mention that before, and we're going to do a little show here. We got some stuff to talk about, right, JC?
We do have some stuff. We got some show tonight.
Yeah, a lot of little, it seems like a lot of little news. Nothing like huge this week, but a lot of little tidbits.
Yeah, lots of tidbits. Yeah, did you, okay, starting, we're just going to go into news now.
Are we? We're going to skip our whole thing here?
All right, what the fuck are you sipping on?
I got my regular rotation, but I did switch it up slightly. I got my black coffee in one hand, and I've got some bourbon in the other with a nice one of those big baseball ice cubes. You know what I'm talking about? It's like a baseball sized ice cube you stick in and with the bourbon.
I've heard tell of this
stuff. The orb ice, I call it. Anyways, I'm switching it up a little bit because I'm going back to my old standby, which is the Bullet Rye this week. So that's what I'm rocking.
Well, I'm going my recent standby, which is Sierra
Nevada.
It's what's in the fridge at the moment. So
yeah, I thought it was going to be the Tears of Your Enemies after last week.
Well, you didn't, perform well in net, so.
Yeah.
I do have a bruise about the size of Texas on my leg, though.
Well, that was a weird game because we lost 4-1, but I actually felt like everyone, including myself, played pretty good. So we just didn't score enough goals. That was basically it.
Scoring
yeah, it's important. We had like 30 shots on net, though.
All right. Well, no one wants to hear about our hockey game that we lost. At least
it's not the hockey minute yet.
No, look, I've got my hoodie on. I'm pulling a Cam Newton. I don't want to talk about it.
All right. Well, we're 0-1 we're 0-2-1 now. Just if anyone cares, and they don't. So let's move on and hit some news. Kick it off, JC. This is a cool one.
FX has their own Marvel show, which is not a Netflix Marvel show, called Legion, and Aubrey Plaza was cast in the show, as well as a few other Dan Stevens and Gene Smart were also cast. So it should be an interesting thing that they've got going on there. The showrunner from Fargo is doing the show, so I know you're a big Fargo fan, right?
Oh yes, Noah Hawley. He is one of my top showrunners.
So yeah, I mean it's a little bit of a X-Men spin-off kind of thing, and
Yeah. So this is obviously in the Fox X-Men universe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Professor X's son kind of spin-off.
Oh, that's cool. I just realized Gene Smart, who's playing a therapist named Maylene, or Melanie, Maylene, She was the kind of the crime boss from season 2 of Fargo, and did a really good job. So definitely excited to see her in the show. And Aubrey Plaza looks exactly like the girl from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Am I right?
Well, she is the girl from Parks and Rec, so.
But in this picture, she looks exactly like the girl from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Not really. And if you've seen her in other stuff, she does not look like that person.
Okay, I haven't, so I'm just going off this picture.
No. But she's cool. Parks and Rec is great. More of a comedic actress, so, not sure.
Okay, so I'm also looking at this related article, which is saying that Legion is not going to cross over with the film. So interesting. They're just going to go this way and just kind of be out of the universe.
For now.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I wonder how deep they're going to go with X-Men, because you would think if they're not going to cross over with the movies, you're not going to see any characters from the movies, and we've already seen so many characters in the movies. Like, who can they use now? I mean, you're already dealing with kind of a obscure character.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be, fairly obscure. I imagine some of the obscure characters from the movies might make appearances, but we'll see.
So the series, this is from the FX boss, John Landgraf. He says the series Legion takes place in a parallel universe in which the U.S. government is in the early days of being aware that something called mutants exist, but the public does not. I wouldn't foresee characters moving back and forth because they really are parallel universes. Okay.
So they can pretty much do whatever the hell they want.
They can do whatever they want, but it's always weird when you see like multiple versions of the same character. Like, I'm sure there's got to be someone eventually show up as Professor X, and I doubt they're going to have James McAvoy in it, or Patrick Stewart.
I don't know. Patrick Stewart's a big TV guy. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. Well, he's kind of more movies now, but it's being produced by Bryan Singer and Simon Kinberg, so who knows? Oh, Jeff Loeb's producing it too? Wow. It's weird how these TV things work, isn't it? Like because Fox owns X-Men, so it's like a Fox show, but somehow like the main Marvel guys, like Jeff Loeb, who's in charge of Marvel TV, is executive producing this. So I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the comic guys who are involved are, probably pointing the way a little bit, but not doing a whole lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. I'm just speculating.
Yeah.
I imagine they say, like, here's some great comic storylines that we should do. And then they say, like, well, let's pick and choose what we want to do.
Yeah. Well, I guess as long as they tell a good story, right?
Exactly.
Have you read a good story with Legion in it?
Can't say that I have.
I can't say I have either. There was a series that kind of started when I basically was exiting the X-Men books a few years ago, which was, I think it was called X-Men Legacy, actually. It wasn't the Mike Carey series. It was written by, oh, geez. I'm going to totally forget his name. Simon Spurrier, Cy Spurrier. He wrote it, and it seemed like a pretty kind of wonky series, and I was trying to like cut down on my books, so I just stayed away from it. But apparently that was starring Legion, so I guess if anyone wants to read a recent series with him in it, you could check that one out. All right. I had to talk. I was reading an article about a game today. Sorry, we're gonna go into the video game minute a little early, but I had to know what you thought of the new Doom trailer, the game.
Okay, you watched the trailer, right?
Okay, actually, I was reading reading a written preview, so I did not see the trailer, but I have seen like gameplay snippets, and it looks crazy.
That's the word for it. it reminds me if like the newest Mortal Kombat game was kind of similar, where they were trying to bring back some of that '90s glory. I feel like,
Yeah.
and this just reminds me of someone said like, let's get all the cool, crazy, weird stuff we did in the '90s, but make it 3D, make it more over the top, make it, I don't know, Doom meets Duke Nukem almost.
Yeah, it's well, if you remember in the first couple Doom games, I mean, this is forever ago, but the thing about the Doom games were they really emphasized speed and crazy kills.
Right.
And it seems like the guys at ID who are developing this game are just they're just taking that to heart, and they're really kind of ignoring a lot. It seems like they're ignoring a lot of modern trends in first person shooters.
Yeah.
So
I don't know
but
how
but
I don't know how like enjoyable or good of a game it's going to be, um, but it looks hilarious.
well,
Like I want to play it, but
yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be good.
Well, I was just gonna finish and say that it looks like they're ignoring a lot of the modern day trends in games, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing because they're going back to just over the top speed and crazy kills and blah blah blah, and really making this a Doom, because you remember Doom 3, which was much more like methodical, like horror, slower paced. And this seems like the real like Doom 3, where it's just like zany, crazy speed and kills, and I mean,
Yeah, it looks.
that,
It looks like it has finishing moves, and
yeah,
it looks like more of a single player experience from the trailers that I saw. I'm sure there will be some sort of multiplayer experience, but um, I
well, oh, go ahead.
I played the last. I don't know if it was the last, but I played one of the recent Doom single player games. A
Doom
bit.
3, right? It was probably Doom 3. Did it
It
come out in like 2005 or something?
probably somewhere in there. I feel like it was just called Doom, but maybe it was Doom 3. Um, I think it was Doom 3. You're right.
Yeah.
And it was fun. Um,
Yeah, that was a great game.
it was fun, but this seems to be much, much more.
This seems much more in line with the first two games. And just based on that written preview I read on Game Informer, it does have a multiplayer suite, so there's going to be multiplayer action in it. But yeah, it's just a game that I really want to check out because of its blazing its own trail and harkening back to these a different time in gaming.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily like a bad thing. Like it's a game
Right.
that I want to play. Like because
And
I think they can pull that off.
Right. And I actually saw something that said Doom 4 was rebooted because it was too much like other shooters.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
I
I
just
do have to say, just from like the stuff that I've seen, it's a gorgeous looking game. The art is great. The graphics are great.
yeah.
Whoever even the creatures that are familiar are like you've never seen them before. So I commend the team that's behind this. Whether it's a shitty game or not, I have no idea. But
Yeah, it really looks like the first two games, but as you imagine them now, I mean, it really just looks like that. They're making the Doom 1 and 2 in a modern context, but they're not changing the gameplay mechanics, which I think is great. And just based on what I read, like I'm really excited for it, and I'm glad they're doing their own thing because frankly, there's way too many first-person shooters to get lost in the shuffle with. So if they're doing something unique, then I'm gonna definitely want to check that out.
cool.
Yeah.
We agree.
Yes.
So I don't know if you saw this article. I don't know if you um, follow any of this, but I saw this
Yes. I
article
want to talk about this.
talking about Big Bang Theory, right?
I
All right. I don't watch.
thought we were gonna talk. I thought we were gonna talk about Man of Steel and Zack Snyder responding to
We can
criticism.
talk about that. I just want to talk about. There's an article from IO9 that came out about how Big Bang Theory is terrible, which it is terrible because it portrays nerds terribly. But they mentioned Saga, and the cover, and which features a woman breastfeeding, and they just turn it into a boob joke. Like, ooh, nerds love boobs, and that's all I want to talk about. That is Big Bang Theory. You suck.
Yeah, I have not seen Big Bang Theory in years. I may have seen like 2 episodes of the show.
I talked to like 3 other people. We all agree. Our moms love it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like people that aren't nerds like the show, but nerds don't just hate the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about Man of Steel.
I just wanted to say, like, I guess they do actually have a lot of like comic love on that show. Like, there's a lot of different comics, and if you do watch the show, you can catch a lot of like Easter eggs of like which comics they're kind of highlighting for the week or whatever. But yeah, enough about that.
Yeah.
I guess Zack Snyder was defending his choices that he made in Man of Steel, and he was on a podcast where he was kind of defending and just saying that comic book fans know that he didn't change Superman's comic canon. I think he kind of said the fans of the old Christopher Reeve movies maybe mad at him, but he was more in line with what the comics do. So he, was kind of defending it by saying that.
Yeah, he basically said that Superman killing Zod sets him up to be someone who doesn't kill because he knows of what the toll of what a kill does, but he had to do it in that situation to save the world.
Well, not even to save the world, just to save a family that would have been destroyed. And we talked about this last week, so I don't really want to go into it that much.
Last week, and again, my issue with it was it should be to save the world, not to save one family after like a whole city has been killed. That's
right.
It.
Well, that's just And again, my point was he wasn't in a position to actually kill Zod. Until the moment when he had his arms around his neck and was able to snap his neck, like it took him 30 minutes of fighting to get to the point where he actually could kill him.
Of course. No, I agree with that statement, but for that to be the thing that like he should have gotten to that point and just been like snapped his neck. Should have just been like no worries. He just leveled a city. I'm killing this dude. But instead, he agonized over it until the family was in danger.
I guess
that was right, but it's splicing hair. It's
splitting hairs.
Splicing hairs. Yeah.
And again, I guess I guess I need to watch it again, but I think maybe he was kind of like waffling for a while there, because he may have not wanted to go to the point of killing Zod, and he was more trying to talk him down, because I don't think he wanted to kill a fellow Kryptonian until it was he realized there's no going back. It was just too far. So anyways, this isn't going to change anything. I think you could argue that making Superman a killer was and wasn't in line with the comic book canon, because Superman's, here's the thing, I haven't read a ton of Superman comics, but Superman's done some pretty crazy, questionable things in however many thousands of issues of Superman comics. And so you can really just pick and choose if you're going to say that. You could find a story where Superman is a killer, and you can find a story where he acted like he did in Man of Steel, and just point to that and say, well, we're just following the comics.
Exactly. And that I think that was what I took away from that as well, was it doesn't really hold a lot of weight, because you can pick an Elseworlds title and be like, well, it's in the comics. And the same applies to Batman in comics.
Right.
You can point, Batman doesn't use guns is the famous thing. But
Batman's used guns in the comics multiple times.
particularly in Dark Knight Returns.
Dark Knight Returns. He did it in Final Crisis when he shot Darkseid with the Omega beam or whatever. I mean, he's used guns before.
Right.
I mean, and yeah.
I guess I think the problem comic fans have with it is, in general, we're talking about specific event moments as opposed to like the by and large type of things in Batman comics is he doesn't use a gun because that's what makes him cool.
Yeah.
So to see like Batman in Batman vs Superman holding what appears to be a machine gun, you're just kind of like,
what? Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But if you're portraying a Dark Knight Returns version of Batman, he had a gun in that, so whatever.
Yeah. And the same with Superman. Like Superman is not portrayed as a killer in probably 99.8 of stories that he's in.
Right.
So yeah, that's understandable. Again, I mean, I'm not holding this like so precious as a lot of other comic fans are. As I said before, I enjoyed the movie.
I enjoyed it as well.
And I've got no problem with the choice he made. I mean, like, I'm fine with him being a killer. I don't think it's going to make him like a guy that goes out and just like kills everyone he sees now because like he crossed that line. I mean, I'm more bothered by the fact that Batman is a killer now. Although, as I said before, I'm looking forward to seeing the story they tell with that.
Right. Well, yeah, we'll see what that story is. I to talk a little bit more. Did you see and I use air quotes that people can't see, the viral marketing for Turkish Airways for Batman vs Superman?
Oh my God!
The
Super Bowl is just so over the top now. I just like I don't even know what to think. I just sit back and like, well, okay, that happened.
You saw the ads that I speak of.
Yes.
Bruce Wayne and Lex Luthor come visit Gotham and Metropolis on Turkish Airways ads.
Yeah.
I won't lie. I thought it was like that would have been a better ad than like throwing if they'd done that instead of like the last Superman trailer where they put out Doomsday and all this crap. I would have been like, okay, well at least you're not showing me like a lot of the movie and I'm like anticipating more of the movie. But to do it now, I'm like, well, you wish you had just done that from the get-go.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna go see the movie either way. But
yeah. No, I mean, the Turkish Airways thing was just kind of weird. Like, whatever. It was just one thing of many, just crazy things that happened with the Super Bowl commercials. But yeah, I mean, we talked about this before, but yeah, I really wish they would not have revealed that Doomsday was in the movie. That would have been a nice surprise.
Right.
Because I don't think I literally do not think that sold one extra ticket by having Doomsday in the movie. You have Batman fighting Superman. That's all you need to get them in the theater.
Well, it's interesting, you wonder too where the creative decision-making points of this were and the business decisions, because
probably Warner Brothers.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is who made the calls on these sort of things, because
I bet you it's the studio.
Right, because look, compare this to the Star Wars trailer, where had the studio taken the reins, I'm sure they would have thrown Luke Skywalker in the trailer. I'm sure they would have thrown,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe. I get the sense with the Warner Brothers that they're more like kind of desperate to have a big hit. And I feel like Disney knew what they had before the movie came out. So they were just like, JJ, just do whatever you want. You don't even have to put a trailer out if you don't want to. Like, people are going to that movie regardless.
Right. Well, I think the same applies to Batman and Superman.
It does, totally. But it's just desperation.
I think the difference also is the cred that JJ has over the cred that Zack Snyder has. Even though he's been very successful, he's no JJ. So, If it had been Christopher Nolan, I feel like we don't see Doomsday in the trailer.
Yeah, you might be right.
But
Yeah, I kind of get the sense that Zack Snyder's a big deal over at Warner Brothers. He's done a lot of Warner Brothers movies, but I kind of get the sense that he more goes along with whatever they want to do marketing wise. Just I don't know. It's a stupid thing, but I just feel like he's a more like he's just like, okay, cool, just go ahead and do that. That's fine, whatever. I'm making my movie, whatever. But where Christopher Nolan is much more like wrapped up in keeping the plot secret, and the same with JJ.
yeah, exactly. Which I think is a detriment to this, in that we wish, as much as we want to know, I think the fact that he is a fan as much as he is and wants to let us know stuff, we don't want to know as much as we want to know.
Yeah, keep it a surprise,
Yeah.
please. I mean, I want to be surprised when I go in and see the movie. I don't want to know every beat of the movie, and I'm starting to feel like I already know most of the beats now of the movie, which bothers me.
Well, we shall see. We may be surprised.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. I wanted to talk a little manga, because I saw this preview for the American version of this, and I don't know if you took a look at it. It's called "I Am a Hero."
Tell me all about it, JC.
So this is apparently an extremely popular Japanese manga, and they're coming out with a English translation. And well, take a look at the art. I mean, Dark Horse is bringing it out in the U.S. and I think it comes out in April, but they've got a preview pages up, and well, the artwork is insane.
So this is just being localized for the U.S.?
Yeah, there are like 18 volumes out already, so there's 2 that are coming out in April, I guess. But yeah, I mean,
oh my God, 20? Did you say 28 volumes or 18? What did you say? 18 volumes?
right now there are 18 volumes, yes, so far.
Good Lord. Honestly, that kind of the art is great. Wow.
And
I was about to say I'm a little turned off by having the 18 volumes to get through, but wow, the art is actually amazing.
Yeah, and the monsters are pretty great too. Like the violence, the gore is pretty insane. So, I'm interested. It's wildly popular over there. So I'm interested to maybe pick up the first volume and see if it's worth reading from there.
Yeah, I would be too, actually. Just looking at the artwork, I'm actually into. So, I Am a Hero Omnibus Volume 1 hits store shelves April 6th. So, I wonder how many volumes that's going to collect. Like, I think a lot. So, I'd definitely be in for the first volume.
Yeah.
Just based on the artwork alone.
Yeah. That was what sold me too. I was like, artwork, wow, that's pretty good. So,
because usually, I mean, I'm not trying to knock manga for this because they have a really rapid pace of release.
right.
But usually, manga art is much more simplistic than what I'm seeing here. So, yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by this. Thank you for that, JC.
You're welcome.
I'm actually kind of excited for that. It's been a while since I looked at some art that really just was like, wow, I need to read this book. All right. Well, actually, you do the next story too, because I didn't really look into this one.
Well, I saw this little article about the greatest living American, and that is Macgyver.
Oh yes.
Apparently, there's both a TV show and a movie in the works, and apparently the TV reboot is going to be.
It's being overseen by James Wan of Furious 7 and Saw fame.
Right.
Wow.
And then Lionsgate is making a Macgyver movie.
Oh. it's just so strange how everything coalesces at the same time. I mean, we're getting a MacGyver TV show and movie like at the same time.
Yeah, so the TV show is going to be MacGyver: The College Years, um,
Wow.
and the movie they don't know anything about. Um, but yeah, I mean, it certainly seems a bit much. But again, I loved MacGyver growing up, so I'd love to see a modern take, and if it's well done.
Yeah. I've got to be honest. I don't think I've seen one episode of MacGyver. I know that's probably crazy to you, JC,
That is
but
really crazy.
yeah, it was weird. I mean, growing up, like you gravitate and just end up watching like different shows that are like just I don't know, like for whatever reason I didn't watch MacGyver, but I remember watching oh God, what was the one?
My Little Pony.
Yeah, in the 90s, I watched My Little Pony.
I mean,
Uh,
just throwing out some suggestions for you.
like okay, this is when I was young, but like I can remember watching like just weird shit. Like I watched a show on TNT that had Hulk Hogan in it. I think it was called Thunder in Paradise. Like it was about Hulk Hogan like solving crimes on an island while like driving a boat.
I know of what you speak. I feel like I want to say it was a movie, but it was a very short.
No, it was a TV show called Thunder in Paradise. I remember this show, but like I didn't watch MacGyver, but I watched that. Like it's just.
And this is how we know that you're not a good person. Like
whatever.
Different
strokes, JC.
Thunder in Paradise is from the creators of Baywatch.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Wow,
that was one I watched. I know you did too.
I was never really much of a Baywatch watcher.
Oh please, yeah, watcher. You watched it with the mute on or something. I know you watched that. Do you remember? Do you remember there's a spinoff of Baywatch called Baywatch After Dark?
Yes.
It was like a mystery, like a horror show, I think. But I just remember watching like one or two episodes and it being like a horror show or something. So anyways, enough of that. Enough of rando 80s and early 90s TV show talk.
MacGyver is not random the way Thunder in Paradise is random. In any event,
I wish I could remember the detective. There was a detective show I'm trying to think of the name of, and it was on USA. I watched a lot of reruns of it, and I cannot think of what it is.
Matlock.
It might have been Matlock, yeah. Although I'm not sure.
All right.
It was a Murder She Wrote. It was something. Anyways, continue.
You had some TV news of your own.
Oh yeah, TV news about a show that I have lapsed in watching since the first season, but apparently Gotham is bringing in Hugo Strange. So they've cast BD Wong as Hugo, and I think he looks dead on. If you look at the picture, he looks pretty dead on with what I imagine Hugo as. So
yeah, I saw it. I've lapsed in watching the show as well. I noticed they've added in a lot of villains right now. The whole experiment of Gotham really soured on me rather quickly. I loved the acting and production value, but just hated the story.
When did you stop watching the show?
Mid to late first season.
Okay, because I watched, I think, the first 5 episodes, and I'm in the same boat where I liked the actors they cast, but just wasn't a big fan of some of the story choices, and I really wish they would have just not had Bruce Wayne in the show, period.
Well, I wish that, I can get them telling that story in like the premiere episode or whatever, but when they kept bringing him back and I was just like, oh, get over it. Like, And really, my whole problem with the entire show was that it wasn't Gotham Central.
Exactly. I was going to say we've talked about this before, but that's our main problem with that show is it's not Gotham Central. Although you can tell with at least the episodes I saw, like they were definitely I think the creators of the show were fans of that series, but it's just the wrong context to be able to tell a Gotham Central story. Or it's just the wrong context to adapt the adapt.
I like the idea of adapting something.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it's just the wrong context to adapt Gotham Central because one of the main conceits of Gotham Central is that Batman is active, but you just don't see Batman. You know, you just see the effects of Batman.
Why not do that?
Well, that's the thing. Like you could totally do that. You don't have to show Batman at all. You just have to see the effects of Batman, or maybe just like a brief glimpse, but you're always looking through the eyes of the police officers. Like that's what was so cool about Gotham Central. I mean, as well as like telling some great like character stories, but you know, like that would be a great show, but I don't want it on Fox. Like I would want it on FX or I'd want it on HBO or something like that.
On HBO.
Yeah.
But we will never get this thing that we want.
No, we will not.
Anyways,
I've heard good things about season 2 of Gotham. I kind of want to catch up and just see what they're doing. I mean, seeing this image, I want to see what's up with Hugo Strange.
Right.
That looks pretty cool.
So what do you think about just to move on? There's a new Star Trek TV show coming out.
Oh yes. Well, I wanted to know your opinion on this because I think you're more of a Trekkie than I am. But I mean, I think it's cool because Brian Fuller of Hannibal and Pushing Daisies fame is and he's doing also American Gods, which we talked about last week. But he's another one of my favorite showrunners, and he's actually in charge of this, so it's kind of cool.
I mean, it's interesting. Apparently, he wrote for Deep Space Nine and Star Trek Voyager, so he obviously has some Star Trek cred already. I worry about the fact that it's on CBS.
Why? Because wasn't the original show on CBS?
I worry about it being on CBS because CBS is terrible.
Is CBS now, yeah.
But I am also curious to see how where they're going to put this. If they're going to make some new story, if they're going to have it be an offshoot of like the current movie kind of universe, or if where they're going to how they're going to play the whole show. But it'll be nice to have some Star Trek on TV. If it's good sci-fi, I'm always down for some more good sci-fi. It'll definitely be more Star Trek than the Star Trek movies are, which are more Star Wars.
Yeah, I think definitely has potential to probably please like hardcore Star Trek fans for sure.
So,
hold on. Before we move on from this, what's your ideal situation for a Star Trek show? Like, where would you want it? What network would you want it on? Who would you want it to be the creators? Blah, blah, blah. Like, what time period? All that stuff.
I mean, I think if you're gonna do a show, don't try to like the movies that are out there right now. They're obviously going to continue this reboot of Kirk and Spock universe. So don't try to play in that world. Just do what the Next Generation did, which was
let's take a whole new crew.
Take a whole new crew and a whole new ship. You can place it in that universe if you like. If you want to have like the premiere episode have, Chris Pine and whoever else make appearances and send them off on their new ship and their new destination or whatever. Cool. If you want to do something like that, sure, why not?
Yeah.
But I think have a new crew, a new ship, to send them off. As far as like showrunners, I mean, the people who are doing the Expanse would be great. They're doing some great stuff. You know,
Yeah, but that would preclude them from probably working on season 2 of The Expanse, which I would greatly disapprove of.
yeah. No, I want to catch up. I need to catch up on that because the season just ended. I need to catch up.
Yeah, I'm 2 episodes away from finishing. The 8th episode was really good, though.
Yeah, I need to catch up, but
some characters that haven't crossed paths, cross paths. Oh yes.
all right. Well, but needless to say, I would love it on a channel like HBO or AMC, channels where it'll never.
What about a Netflix situation where you have maybe like 12 or 13 episodes?
I think
the whole season.
I think that would be great as well. Any network, whether it's Netflix, AMC, HBO, any network where you have this great track record of doing ambitious projects and telling a full-fledged story as opposed to being constrained to a sitcom or very accessible format where anyone can pick up any episode.
Procedural.
Yeah. Like I don't want a Star Trek procedural where, you know, we've landed on a new planet and we're doing a new thing and everything goes back to the status quo at the end of the episode. I'd much rather them tell like some epic 12 episode or 20 episode, whatever the story is, but tell some story that's a story.
Yeah.
Because that's where TV's going these days. So why not do it right?
Yeah, hopefully CBS realizes with some of these properties that they have to switch it up and they can't do Law and Order for every single series they do. So I mean, you would hope that there's they're going to judge these properties on a case by case basis, but we are talking about high level executives at television companies that at the end of the day they just want to
make money.
They do want to appeal. Yeah, they want to make money and they want to appeal to a wide audience. And
they don't care about art. They don't care about art. Art's nice if it's a byproduct, but they don't care about art. Right. Anyway, moving on.
All right. Well,
I want to talk. I watched the Legends of Tomorrow 2-part premiere.
Oh, really? JC watched Legends.
I did not watch I watched part of the 3rd episode, but I haven't seen the full 3rd episode. Okay.
What did you think? Because let's backtrack again. You have seen like 4 or 5 episodes of The Flash season 1.
Yeah.
And you've seen how many episodes of Arrow?
Like next to none.
Next to none. Okay.
I mean, like I might have seen an episode or 2 here or there, but not really like ever watched it.
All right. I can imagine what I'm going to hear.
This is interesting, but mind-boggling of a show.
It's a crazy out there show. Yes, it is.
Yeah, it makes little to no sense. And every character is very over the top kind of versions of themselves, very cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
It was bad.
Okay, so you didn't like it.
There's some good action sequences, but the acting is pretty bad. I did like Arthur Darvill. I thought he did a good job, but
surprise.
But there's a lot of bad acting, and just a lot of bad storytelling. I thought it's a time travel show, but it's just going immediately to these bad kind of time travel tropes and having watched a lot of time travel with Doctor Who, I'm like, you can do cool stuff with time travel, but it just seems like they're going for cheap gimmicks like, oh, the guy lost part of his outfit and now someone stole that technology, and instead of the end of the world being in 150 years, it's in 50 years, and it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. The show, I think, is going to appeal mostly to people that are fans of Arrow and Flash and are like invested in that universe.
but they're
And
not
so
really.
I can, but I can really imagine you coming into this like having not a lot of background on watching it. Like, it's going to be hard for you to really get into this show. And all those things you said, totally valid. Like, I think it's a very uneven show. I think I've watched 3 episodes. I think it's a very uneven show. I think some characters are like downright uh, deplorably like rot in their depictions and the acting. And I'm talking specifically about Hawkman and Hawkgirl. I just think like that their acting is so wooden, and like their story angle is just like it's it is hard to deal with. But having said that, you have so many like elements, so many different characters thrown in the show. Like, I can kind of forget about the Hawkman Hawkgirl angle and enjoy Captain Cold and Heatwave, and I can enjoy Firestorm, and I can enjoy uh, Rip Hunter. So like there's enough for me to get through and enjoy about the show. But yeah, there is some stuff that is downright bad. Like, I will completely agree with you.
No, like it was one of the things. Like I was watching it, but I have to say I stopped. Like I got through 2.5 episodes, but it took me more than one viewing because I had to keep stopping because I was just like, feeling ill from the badness. And but no, it was like, I don't know, it's fun. There's aspects of it where I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this could be. I just feel like it's just it's a missed opportunity is what I feel like.
Yeah, I think it is what it is. I mean, just having watched a lot of Arrow and Flash, I mean, I just feel like they're not really going too crazy outside of what's already kind of been established in that universe, and that's fine. I mean, I really do feel like the formula of Flash specifically is kind of made to be the best quality of stories that they can tell, because if you're gonna just buy into the Flash, you're gonna buy into like crazy over the top like metaphysical crazy hijinks and parallel universes and different versions of Earths. And so like Flash, if you buy into that stuff, like it works, it's fun, it's a well-written show. Legends is just a lot more uneven. I mean, like I said,
Well, no,
I guess I'm enjoying it for what it is.
I haven't watched as much Flash as you have. I've watched like 4 or 5 episodes, but that's a much better show.
It is, yeah, it totally is. But it's also as crazy and kind of high concept as they go in that show. Like, it is a more contained, smaller in scope show than Legends is. I mean, Legends is kind of by definition just a bigger, like, more over the top show. So
Right,
you're
but I
getting
guess
what you get.
I guess the thing is like when I see like, okay, you're putting out this show with a whole bunch of characters, you got to put like your A game out there, and like the premiere 2 episodes didn't get me.
Yeah.
Like the first part of the first episode, I was like, that when they're telling kind of the backstory to get all the characters together, I'm like, well, this should have been the whole episode.
Mhm.
But you tried to do it in like 10 minutes so that you could have something else happen in the episode. Um, but it was kind of a cool story. But you rushed through it.
Yeah.
It just again, I look at it and I'm like, oh, this could have been actually pretty good, but then I don't know.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, we can.
especially for premiere, like you've got to be trying to get, like, they did a big marketing blitz. You're trying to get new viewers.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like the audience they've cultivated on the CW, I think a lot of people kind of just probably got into it because of what they've already been kind of expected with the characters and stuff. So I think a lot of people enjoy the show, but there are also people like me who have seen the other shows and kind of like we're already like familiar with the cheesy nature of the shows, and we just buy into it, and we just like kind of sit back and just turn our brains off and enjoy it. So, I mean, I can see where you're coming from though. But hey, JC, we should probably move on here.
Comics.
Let's some comics. We read a bunch of comics this week, didn't we? We read a lot of the same comics for once.
Yes, we did. Let's talk some Daredevil.
All right. We read Daredevil's issue 1 and 2, and I don't know what you thought of it, but I was of a mixed bag on the first 2 issues. I loved the art. I thought Ron Garney looked the best he has looked in a long time.
That was going to be my first thing I wanted to say was the art was stellar. I mean, the
art was sick. Like the art was what I imagine when I think of Daredevil art.
Right. No, it was great. There was a lot of kind of outside the box artwork. It was great.
Well, a lot of, it's very like, it's very gritty and at the same time not like overly dark.
Right, and played with like shadows and coloring and stuff. It was pretty well done.
Yeah, and the only thing I didn't really like about the arc was actually the costume design of Daredevil. I liked that like his gloves were red and that was kind of highlighted, but I didn't like the symbol on his chest. I thought that was kind of weak. I don't know about you. It's cool that they like made his costume black, but I don't know. The costume kind of bugged me a little bit.
Didn't bother me.
Yeah.
What bothered me was, and this goes again, I haven't been reading Daredevil in a couple years, I guess. You start off with a premiere issue 1 and 2, and we're introduced to Daredevil's training somebody.
Right.
And he's apparently been disbarred and has been rebarred and is now a DA and not not a regular attorney, or assistant DA, I should say.
Yeah.
Which are all fine things. But
well, yeah.
It's a very different kind of Daredevil universe.
Yeah, it's just the choice of making him a DA was kind of interesting. He's obviously back in New York. I know you haven't read Daredevil for a while. I actually haven't for a while either because I started the Mark Waid run. I think I read about 10 issues, and then I just started getting the trades and kind of fell off and haven't caught up on that. But apparently, like in his run, he moved to San Francisco, and this was when he was still kind of like outed as Daredevil, but they were trying to. I guess like the whole thing is like, he was using his legal tricks to kind of go after people who were calling him Daredevil because he basically was trying to use the legal system to kind of put his identity back in the box, so to speak. But he moved to San Francisco. I don't really know what happened in the series. I think
he moved.
At the end of the Mark Waid series, I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know if he was still in San Francisco or not. I think though with this series, basically it's kind of a fresh start. Like Secret Wars happened. Matt is back in New York, and I think it's just going to be explained. Number one, how he's back in New York. Number two, why he is kind of on the rocks with Foggy. Number three, why he is training someone. And number four, how he got to be a prosecutor.
Right.
I guess there's a lot of unanswered questions of like, how did we get here?
Right. That was my big question. How did we get here? But it was, the art was compelling, and the villain bad guy story stuff that's going on was interesting enough to keep me going.
Well, what did you think of the villain? Because I thought the villain, honestly, I thought it was kind of weak.
Well, I thought it was kind of weak until the end of the second issue.
Right, where
the whole hand.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. The hand shows up and they were not. I guess let's just spoil it. Who cares? I mean, it's not like a big spoiler, but basically, like this villain called Ten Fingers is in Chinatown, and is wielding a type of power, and apparently it's somehow connected to the hand, and that's where you leave off at the end of issue 2, because the hand shows up and kind of wants their retribution.
Yeah.
I'm not going to issue a spoiler warning for that because I feel like that was kind of that's not really that crazy.
Yeah. No, and
of a spoiler.
That was cool. I was.
Well, I'm just glad the hand is showing up again. Like that's what I want in a Daredevil comic. I want to see the hand. I want it to be kind of a darker, grittier book, which art-wise it is.
Yeah, so it compelled me to want to read the next issue. And hopefully it goes into more of that and gets away from Ten Fingers guy, because that's not really the most compelling thing. Once you kind of got more into like he's a mob boss who cuts people's fingers off or doesn't, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, and I'm very like, I don't know, I'm very kind of on the fence about this this sidekick that Daredevil has. I mean, I guess his name is Blind Spot, and he's a Chinese kid apparently, and he has like invisibility powers, or he has a suit that makes him invisible.
Right. Which is an interesting play on someone who can't see being his mentor. Like that's where they're trying to go with that.
Yeah, but where's this going? Like, is Matt becoming Stick? Like, what's going on?
I don't know. I don't know, but I don't know.
What is this angle?
I don't know where this character even came from.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's it's a thing that they're doing.
Yeah, I guess bottom line, I'm just ready to read Daredevil monthly again.
Right.
And at least the tone of the book is a little more in line of like what I want out of Daredevil. I mean, I was enjoying the Mark Waid run of what I read of it, and there was some great artists in that, but it was definitely a callback to when Daredevil was more of a swashbuckler, and it was more like adventure, more of like the Stan Lee, Bill Everett era of Daredevil. I mean, and I was definitely more in line with like the Frank Miller, Brian Bendis version of the character. So I mean, it was cool. It was cool that Mark Waid switched it up, because frankly, like Matt had got like the book had got so dark, it was just like it was ready to for a turnaround.
Right. I mean, I felt like really once you went through Bendis,
Brubaker, and Andy Diggle, who really just like took it off a cliff.
Yeah, but I mean, I think even once you got Daredevil into prison and went through all of that, like you knew at some point the cat was going to have to go back in the bag. Like they were going to have to return back to a status quo somehow.
Yeah, and I don't know how they did that. Like if it was like Secret Wars magic or there's some other reason, but hopefully they're going to reveal that.
Right. But obviously, like it was one of those things that at least was a thing I was like expecting to happen at some point, because it's a hard game to play.
Just because these big revelations and character deaths and all this stuff, like the stuff that really fundamentally changes characters, like eventually, like it's going to go back to the way it was. It's going to go back to the kind of original like version of the character, and yeah, exactly. So
I want to transition from that into a book that I read this week that you did not read, and that's
I read the first. Detective Comics. Yeah.
Detective Comics 49. So I had heard.
Wait, hold on. Before you go into this, I gotta ask. You obviously went to the comic shop, right?
I went to the comic shop.
All right, tell me about this.
So,
which one did you go to? I always like to hear the comic shop stories.
So I was at my girlfriend's place, and I was like, well, I wonder what.
Oh my.
I was like, I wonder what comic shops are near her place. I might not have Studio City. So I went to Blast Off Comics, which was just around the corner from her place.
Oh, nice. How big of a store is that?
Pretty small store. Very interesting. They've got a lot of like classic books.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, they've got a lot of books themselves.
Okay, so it's a mix. It's more of a bookstore with comics.
Yeah, and then they have like a new retail section, and then like a large like classic comic section.
Cool.
So it's interesting, and a lot of like cool artwork. I met one of the owners or creators or whatever, Judd Myers, who was working at the store. You know, cool store,
Nice.
nice store. You know,
What do they carry mostly? Do they just carry the big two, or do they
they
have a
had
lot of indie stuff too?
they had a good indie selection as well. Looks like I'm looking at their website. It looks like he actually used to work for Titan Publishing, and then came to the U.S. and has done launched, managed Forbidden Planet, Virgin Megastore, Meanwhile Comic, a bunch of comics.
Wow, I think that's the third time, by the way, that we've mentioned Titan Publishing in like 3 episodes.
So yeah, I mean, and then he also, I guess they also run that store, Earth 2 Comics.
Oh yeah, that's the one in Woodland Hills, right? Isn't that the one that Jeff Johns partially owns?
Possibly.
Okay, so this one was called Blast Off Comics.
Yeah, nice stuff. Nice, definitely nice shop. It's right in like the NoHo Arts District.
Cool.
Recommended.
So which books did you end up buying?
So I got picked up Dark Knight 3 issues 1 and 2.
Okay.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Batman.
Oh yeah.
And Detective Comics 49. My rationale for Detective Comics 49 is I'm a big Batman fan. Heard all about the Batman not being Batman right now. So and then I heard Bruce Wayne is coming back to Batman very soon. So I was like, let me pick up an issue and see kind of the state of.
So you just picked up random Batman issue. Going in cold.
Yeah, and so here's what I'll say. You want a Batman comic to involve Batman.
Bruce Wayne is not in this book, right?
Bruce Wayne does not appear in this book.
Yeah, that's the status quo right now.
Right.
Commissioner Gordon is in an armored bat suit, I think. I think it's the status quo.
Commissioner Gordon is like, this is from my layman. Okay, first of all, DC, if you're doing something like this, put a splash page that explains this shit to me.
So I still can't believe they don't do that. Like Marvel does that, and it makes so much sense.
Right. Because like if I had that, at least I would have been like, okay, I kind of get what's going on. I at least have some knowledge of what's going on, so I wasn't like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
But it still would have been nice to know like what's going on.
Yeah.
A little bit better.
I know, right?
So to me, that's just a bad opportunity. Obviously, they're bringing back like Bruce Wayne back because they have a movie coming out.
Yeah.
But so Commissioner Gordon is kind of like a poor man's Batman Beyond costume design, and operates out of some sort of dirigible or something, but is working with the police, and like I don't know what the hell.
So he's not Commissioner Gordon, like he's just James Gordon, armored Batman imposter.
I don't know, man. Like he knows like the cops from the old who obviously know that he is Jim Gordon, but he's playing as Batman. But then he gets his ass kicked because he's not Batman.
Yeah.
Wow. It was bad. Like I did not enjoy it.
Who was the creative team?
It was a bunch of people. I don't know. Sonia Sotomayor. No, but it is someone Sotomayor.
That's the colorist, right? Isn't that a colorist?
Yeah, no, it is Story and Words by Peter J. Tomasi.
Oh, Peter Tomasi. Okay, I didn't know he was writing detective.
Fernando
I actually think he's a great Batman writer, to be honest. But I haven't read this issue.
Fernando Passarin did pencils, and Matt Ryan inked it, and Chris Sotomayor, not the
Yes,
did
did
the
the
color.
colors. Okay.
I don't know.
Now, was this a one-off issue, or was this part of a story arc?
I mean, they're chasing a serial killer, but it's like the title said the Bronze Age Salt of the Earth, so it doesn't tell me it's part 1 of 2 or if it doesn't tell me it didn't tell me anything.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like I don't know.
Was it really badly written though? I just have a hard time believing that because Pete Tomasi is not. I haven't read a comic that he's written that was like outright bad.
It wasn't badly written.
You just didn't like it because it was James Gordon instead of Bruce.
Like, I just don't want to spend $3.99 plus tax on watching James Gordon not be able to figure things out because he's not Batman, not be able to beat people up because like I want to. I don't know. It wasn't. It wasn't a Batman comic to me. Like it was, and it like if they had given me like a bio page where they gave me some setup, I might have been more sold on it. I don't know. But even still, like I'm looking forward to picking up the issue where Bruce Wayne becomes Batman again.
Yeah. Well, I think that'll probably be soon. I think Snyder is Scott Snyder is going to wrap up his run soon, and he's kind of driving the ship.
They've announced that it's that it's coming. So
yeah. Like Scott Snyder's wrapping up his run, and that's he's gonna I think put the toys back in the box, so to speak.
Yeah.
When he wraps up.
Speaking of a comic I did like.
Wait. I want to move on to a comic I liked. Let me talk about this one. This is a Batman comic I think we both liked. Because I did read the first issue of this. I picked it up just to kind of like get the in on what this series was about. I'll probably end up getting the trade because I just bought it digitally. But I am talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Batman.
That was what I wanted to talk about.
It was awesome.
It was great. It was so good.
It was so good.
It was so good. The art was great. Like the story was exactly what I wanted.
The writing was good. The art was great. It's just basically the Foot Clan shows up in Gotham City stealing some shit.
The turtles
aren't far behind. Batman is investigating what's going on. And it's fantastic.
It's exactly what I want. Like you're doing what I want you to like, and that's what was missing from this Detective Comics issue was you're not doing anything. You're not showing me anything I want to see.
Yeah. If you have the comic in front of you, pull it up because I don't have it. I bought it as I said, I bought it digitally and I don't have my tablet here, but James Tynion IV wrote it, and I thought it was great. He had some great Turtles one-liners in there, and the artist I really enjoyed. I think it was was it Freddie Williams the second?
I don't think you got this effect in your digital comic, but on like the first full spread page, like after the first page, there's a spread, and the artwork is just glorious. Like, I mean, look the way that.
No, I saw that. Yeah, it's great.
Fucking great.
Yeah, it's is it Freddie Williams the second?
Freddie E. Williams the second did the art and cover.
Okay, so Freddie Williams the second did the art, and James Tynion the fourth did the words. And me likey, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
it was just fun. It was fun.
A lot of fun. Like this was the sort of thing where I felt very good about spending my money on it.
Now, did you just get the first issue?
Yeah, the first issue is all that's out, I believe. That was all.
Okay, cool. So that's all I've read too. But I will say this is a slight spoiler. So if you don't want to hear anything more about the Turtles comic, just stop reading or listening or whatever you're doing at this moment. But I did like how they. I mean, this isn't really a big spoiler because I mean you expect to see this, but like I liked how as the issue went on, you got more characters. So you see Mother effing Shredder show up and face down Batman for a minute, and it's like, oh yes, I want to see this. And then you get Splinter later on, which is great too.
Yeah, no, lots of great stuff in that book. Even like, even just the simple gag of like them getting their pizza and Raph having to get it with his sigh. Like I was
right.
I was like,
yeah,
I hope it's a 6-issue miniseries, so I hope the
is it 6 issues? I thought it was 4. Jeez.
The book I have says 1 of 6.
Okay.
So, I hope that it continues this, right now since we're in spoiler mode, it's there's a standoff with the turtles around the Batmobile, and the Bat thinking the turtles are bad, so I'm hoping we get a little fight action.
Oh, of course we're gonna get a fight. Are you kidding me? This is a superhero comic. Of course we're gonna get a fight.
But I mean, obviously Batman's gonna kick their ass.
Obviously, because he's Batman.
Yeah.
No, it was great. I hope that the story is actually worth 6 issues. I mean, you know what I mean by that?
No, I agree completely because obviously they're about to face off, so that could be the whole second issue if you're a bad writer. It'll be interesting. I hope that the first issue was very enjoyable. I hope that they can keep it up for a compelling 6-issue run.
Yeah, and I do think James Tynion is a good writer, so I hope he has more tricks up his sleeve than just having Batman meet the Turtles and then them fighting the Foot Clan and defeating Shredder, like hopefully there's another layer there, but we'll see. Yeah. So we were both wholeheartedly in favor of that. And the last, I guess we're just on a Batman kick today because we're just gonna finish on Batman 2 because we both read Dark Knight 3 issues 1 and 2, which I don't know what you thought of it, JC. I actually would like to get your opinion first, if I could.
Well,
and before you go into it, I just want to ask you: did you read Dark Knight 2?
Yes, but it's been a long time since I've read it. I would like to refresh my memory because I recall it took a long time to get the last issue, and I kind of I'm forgetting the ending of that series.
Yeah.
So I want to go back and reread it.
I haven't read it, and I want to now after reading this, just because like they bring in a lot of Justice League characters in the second series, I think.
Yeah, no, they do.
Yeah, and I know that series is widely like maligned for kind of going off the rails, but I feel like I kind of owe it to myself to just read it and just kind of put my preconceived notions aside and just read it. I mean, it's going to tie in somewhat to this series, right? Because like there's a villain from the second series, I think, that is briefly mentioned in the third series, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it will definitely, I mean, obviously it ties in, in a number of ways. It's created this universe that we're in.
Yeah. So, all right. Sorry. So what did you think of the first two issues?
I want to talk a couple things. Like, first, let's talk presentation. Both issues. Now, did you buy digital?
I bought the physical.
Okay. Now, both issues.
Nice packages.
Nice packages contained mini comics within them, which I thought was a cool touch.
Now, I was an idiot and ripped out the Atom comic, but I realized like, oh, I should probably just keep that in there. Yeah. So I put it back on the little sticky things and just read it in the middle of the actual comic, and actually that kind of worked for the book. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, and that's how I took them. I because it was in the middle of the book, I read it right there, left it there, and then continued on with the story, feeling like that was the way that they intended for me to read it.
What did you think of the Frank Miller art in the Atom backup in the first issue?
I liked it.
I did too. I thought it was great. I mean, I think he went kind of more experimental, a little crazier in the second series, and obviously in
Yeah,
Holy Terror and stuff.
yeah, he
Jeez,
definitely.
that is a face full of chest hair, JC. Good lord. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely went a lot more experimental in the second book.
But this was more like traditional kind of superhero-y, but it was still Frank Miller, but I thought it was great.
And obviously, the artwork in the series is by Andy Kubert,
Mm-hmm.
and he's
He,
obviously
he's aping Frank a little bit.
definitely aping Frank.
I mean,
Um,
he is. I don't know how much of that is Klaus Janson inking him,
no,
but I think the panel composition is he's definitely trying to have that Frank Miller vibe.
yeah, no, I definitely, and even just like the character designs and the shape of the characters and stuff seems to be,
Oh yeah,
he's aware that this is the third book in a series.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, and I'm glad he's doing that. I mean, it just tonally makes it fit in.
and there's definitely some cool artwork. Like when the Batman gets arrested in the first issue. There's some cool shots like Batman
The
covered in
Batman.
the Batman covered in blood. Uh,
Yes.
there's definitely it's a well designed book. Um, what do you think of the story now, especially not having read the second?
So I don't really feel like I needed to have read the second. I kind of want to just to get a little more info in there because there was like one spot where um, a certain character was talking about how Bruce Wayne was quote dead, and there was a panel of this villain who I had never seen before just beating the crap out of Bruce, and I assume he's from the second series. So that made me kind of want to check out just what happened with that. There's also a lot of characters that we didn't see in Dark Knight 1 that I assume were in Dark Knight 2,
Yeah, there's
like Wonder Woman. Diana was actually heavily in the first two issues.
yeah, I mean she's heavily in Dark Knight too.
Now I got to ask, and I don't think this is like I said, a real big spoiler because these books have been out for years and years. But are we to take away that she slept with Clark and Bruce and
Well,
had kids by both of them?
um, now my memory's foggy about Bruce, but we definitely see her boning Superman.
Well, we definitely know that she has a kid with Clark because her child is a heavy plot element of the first two issues. And but when Diana is first introduced, she has a kid on her back that I kind of took that like I thought that kid was Bruce's, and it didn't explicitly say that, but I kind of took that away that it was Bruce's. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I don't recall. Like I said, my memory's foggy. I vividly remember the Superman Wonder Woman sex scene in Dark Knight 2.
Mm-hmm. It would be kind of awesome if she got busy with both Bruce and Clark, right?
Yeah, she would.
That'd be kind of great.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting also, obviously, because Frank is what providing story and having someone else write the book for him.
Well, I think this is how well because we talked about the whole like kind of like writing credit controversy, quote unquote controversy that was going on because Frank seemed to kind of distance himself from actually like taking ownership of the story, and it seemed like it was more of a Brian Azzarello joint. I think what happened was Brian got together with Frank in New York, and they kind of like hashed out some ideas, and then Brian kind of went away and just wrote the story. Um, obviously he was trying to be influenced by Frank, I think, when he wrote it, and obviously like Frank Miller has a writing credit on the book, but I just don't know how heavily he was like actually with the specifics of the story. But I mean, it definitely feels like a Frank Miller Dark Knight story to me.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It definitely feels that way. Whether or not, I don't think the story is going to hold up in the canon of Dark Knight books, but
I think it will. I mean, I think they set it up so it fits in with that world, and I feel like it does.
no, I mean, like I feel like obviously it fits in with the world, but I feel like it, to me, especially particularly because it's not a Frank Miller joint, so to speak.
Well, not 100%.
Yeah. So, but because of that, it definitely plays to me like Godfather Part 3.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say this. It and just having read the first Dark Knight series, and then this, it felt to me as a little more grounded. It didn't feel as, I was trying to think of a good word for it, but it didn't feel as mythic as the first series. It felt just a little more personal. I think Azzarello is a little like more so than Frank. I think he gets the character.
Wait. I'm sorry. You thought this series was more grounded and less mythical than Dark Knight Returns?
I did, but and not so much in like a plot sense of I mean, it was just the way the book was written. It wasn't like, oh yeah, in this book you have Amazonians and you have bottle people of Candor and you have the Atom and you have Supergirl and blah blah blah. Yeah, that's obviously a little more like outlandish and crazier than and otherworldly than the first series, which was plot wise very grounded in that you just kind of had Batman, and it grew to the point where Superman is introduced, but it's all very much like, I mean, grounded Batman fighting kind of thugs on the street. But the way that Frank wrote that series, I felt was more mythic, and that's just kind of his style, I think. Azzarello's style is a little more character centric, where I kind of felt the characters emotionally a little bit more. I kind of felt like I knew what they were going through, and I just think that is, and it wasn't a big thing, but I just felt like it was just a highlight of these are different writers, and this is one way you can see that.
Sure. I mean, again, we don't obviously know what the
What was broke down with like what the writing chores
yeah,
were between them. Yeah, I mean, I think it's obvious that Azzarello scripted the book.
right. I mean, I assume.
I think maybe plot, overall, like synopsis wise, they hashed out what the story was going to be, and then Azzarello just wrote it. That's how I took it away. I mean, I could be wrong, I guess, but I definitely took away that Azzarello scripted it, and
Right. Well, I've also there's also an article out there with Frank Miller saying that he applauds what Brian's doing, but now that he's doing his, it's now a four-part series. I'm doing
yeah,
the fourth.
yeah.
So
And that's cool. I mean, hey, I'm enjoying part three. I actually didn't think I would enjoy it this much. So yeah, I mean, like if it's if part three finishes strong, I'm down for part four. If even if Azarilla has nothing to do with it, like that's cool. I mean, let's let's see what Frank does. I mean, maybe if this story is really good and Frank will be inspired to kind of one up what the third series was.
would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yes. So I definitely love the cliffhanger of issue two. I don't want to spoil what that was, but It was really cool how the first 2 issues set up kind of Bruce's place in Gotham and his absence. So it was the cliffhanger was nice, and I'm definitely excited to see where the series goes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's Frank Miller's little universe of Batman, and it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I'm down for more Frank Miller comics. So, um, I also think it's a crazy Batman world, and I don't know that he wouldn't be better served doing something else, but
No, I think Frank Miller should play in this sandbox where he kind of create. He made the rules and he can do what he wants with it. I like that he's kind of telling his own Elseworlds Batman story, and he's not constrained by any continuity. I like that.
yeah, I guess the constraint that I see is that he's, pushing this old world version of Batman or whatever. I don't know.
You mean old world in that he's old?
Right.
He's just doing the old man Batman. Although, JC, you do know that there's going to be a one-shot coming out where you actually see what happened with Batman and the Joker.
That's what I was looking for, some information about that, because I heard about that, but I couldn't find the.
So yeah, that's going to be a younger Batman.
That's soon, right? That's like next month or something like that, right?
I'm not sure. I think it's in the next couple months. Yeah, because I remember ordering it out of previews just I think like last month or the month before. So it should be pretty soon. But yeah, that's cool. And I do also like the one shots in these books. I mean, I'm glad they're giving us some extra stuff because
this comes out this month. It comes out the 17th. Dark Knight Returns: The Last Crusade.
Yeah, and that's a one shot. And who's that? Who's the art by? Because that's written by Frank, right?
It's Frank and Brian.
Oh, it is
with John Romita Jr.
That's right. Actually, I remember seeing some of the Romita art. Oh, I am so stoked for that. So stoked for that. I think the last time they collaborated was Daredevil Man Without Fear.
Probably.
Which is some of my favorite John Romita art. So, oh man, I'm stoked to see that. Well, there's definitely been some great artists in these one shots and stuff that are like tangential to the main story. I mentioned that I really enjoyed the Frank Miller art in the first issue for the one shot for the Atom. I thought that was great. However, in the second issue, a great artist was on display. Geez, I knew I was going to do that. As soon as I started talking about him, I was going to forget his name. Who is the artist of the one shot in the second issue?
I don't know.
Do you know how like you start to say something and you're gonna like bring up a name and then you realize like, oh, I'm totally not gonna have this guy's name in hand when I want to talk about him. He's the artist on 100 Bullets. He's a frequent Brian Azzarello collaborator. Why can't I think of his name?
Edward Rizzo.
Eduardo Rizzo. God, thank you. Oh, I am terrible. Go ahead and email in people on how bad my memory is.
All right. Your memory.
Eduardo Rizzo. So I think it was a problem with the subject matter of that one shot, but Rizzo is he is like he is literally one of my favorite artists. Like I can truly say that. I mean, I have a lot of favorite artists, but he is one of my favorites. I love what he does.
Bread and butter.
What's that?
Wonder Woman might not be his bread and butter.
Right. What he does so well is use shadows and darkness to accentuate his art. And he did a one shot that's basically outside in the sun. And you kind of you just see his line fully exposed. And his line is fine. I mean, it's a fine line, JC. But it's not the art that I'm used to seeing from him.
You didn't just make a "it's a fine line" joke, did you?
No, I didn't. I definitely would not have done that.
Didn't think so.
But it's just not the art that I'm used to seeing from him, and I I just wish they would have chose a different story for him to tell. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it's not the Eduardo Riso that I want to see. I mean, maybe he just wanted to do it to mix it up and do something that's kind of like different than what he normally does. But yeah, wasn't a huge fan of that. How about you?
I thought it was all right, but yeah, I mean, it didn't like blow me away.
Yeah.
The whole Wonder Woman book didn't really do much for me. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, I guess to kind of wrap it up here because we're running a little long, but I just wanted to ask what do you think of the villains of the piece so far?
It's okay. Um,
I was actually strangely compelled by them. Like I thought they were pretty like menacing. I was kind of like into the threat they posed. Like it's very brief that they're in the book so far for the first two issues, but yeah, I thought like they were pretty menacing. Like there's definitely a big threat that's gonna
yeah, and it's definitely a
be
big.
present.
I'm obviously wondering how, you know, how they're gonna deal with this new threat. It was kind of like, oh well, I can see where this is going type of thing.
Yeah,
But and obviously, Frozen Superman is gonna get unfrozen.
and a lot of other things hopefully, but yeah, it's interesting. It's really just too early to really, I
Yeah,
guess, talk about what
it's
could
definitely,
happen.
yeah, it's definitely a book that's opening a lot of doors but leaving a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So that makes it interesting. You know, I get why people didn't like Dark Knight Returns 2. And if you didn't like Dark Knight Returns 2, you won't like this book.
Really? Really? Because I feel like I don't know. Like I said, I have not read Strikes Again, but I'm not expecting to like Strikes Again. Just
See,
so you know,
okay, well,
and
so
I do like the Master Race so far.
well, my feeling is people who didn't like Dark Knight 2 is they didn't like it because it was very different.
Uh huh.
You know, it was more colorful and it was more out there, for lack of a better word. And this
Yeah.
goes another level. Like it's more out there. Um,
It is and it isn't though. I feel like it stays out there with the characters and the place that you've gotten to with the world, but it also takes a step back with kind of dialing back like the grittiness and the more I mean kind of more of a street level feel in a lot of the book. I mean, even though you have like Wonder Woman kicking ass in some scenes and you have Supergirl and stuff, like it still feels kind of a street level book of when it focuses on Batman. It's very street level.
well, I guess that's the thing is like I think with both this book and Dark Knight 2, I feel like they went. It's much more. It's much more superhero mythos kind of book. Gods and gods and men, as opposed to the first Dark Knight book, which was much more. It was still gods and men, but it was a much more, to me, grounded book, and more street level Batman book, um, and gritty and all of those things.
Yeah.
Whereas the second book and the third book, they went more superhero-y, more Justice League-y, which is,
Yeah.
the dark, still, it's where Frank wanted to go, so we're gonna go there, and you know,
Yeah. And I feel like that was a step. It was a step forward with this book, but it was also a step back to what Dark Knight Returns was. If that makes any sense at all.
Perhaps.
Probably not. But it makes sense to me in that like I felt like they like I said they expanded the world, or they kept that expansion with the characters and the Justice League aspect of it and kind of the otherworldly one-upsmanship of what they're doing, and then but they're also trying to take it back to more of the grounded feel from Dark Knight Returns. At least that was my takeaway.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm definitely, it's definitely good enough that I want to read the rest of it. So
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I was definitely intrigued by the cliffhanger of issue 2. So I am in for the duration, JC.
well, I think on that note we've been on for the duration, and we should probably let these folks
Probably exit. Yes.
get on with their lives.
Yes. So yeah, people. If you want to, like I said, email and tell me what a terrible person I am for forgetting Eduardo Rizzo's name, you can do that at thecomicstew@gmail. You can tweet at us.
You can also tell him how he's a terrible person for liking Thunder in Paradise and not
over Macgyver. To be fair, I never watched an episode of Macgyver, so I never got a chance to actually compare the two. But I did watch me some Thunder in Paradise back in the day, and I got nothing but good memories of it. So
Moving on.
yeah, if you want to tweet at us and tell us how much you like Thunder in Paradise, and tell JC how he's a bad person for not liking that show, you can do that. Will you shut up for a second and let me give out the Twitter handle? Damn it. At the Comic Stew, people. You know where it is. At thecomicstew@gmail.com. Email us. The Comic Stew is the website. Find all the episodes. Blah, blah, blah. JC's Instagram. At JC Argensinger. Lots of pictures of pretty girls on there. So check that out. Anything else, JC?
Love you, boo.
Love you too. After this episode, you're officially my favorite podcast boo of 2016. I hope you're happy.
Oh wow! I won the crown back from Ian.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if you keep it through the rest of the year. We'll see how that goes. It is early, but right now you got it.
That's good to know.
All right. Well, we hope to have some more people on in the future. We'll see how that goes, considering how busy both of us are. But we want to have some more people on. We want to talk some more books, and we hope you join us then. So for JC, I'm Aaron, and have a great rest of the week.
Peace.
Later.
Later.